10 minutes. We'll just need more set some cameras and things. So with us, we just make sure you had the stream and that it was good to go. Okay, so bear with us. We'll get everything done. All right, good. Now, run like a dog. Something to wedge in here. Right now, I can't. All right. Okay. I think I've got it. Yep.
We've seen each other, we know each other, and he knows. I'm going to pick you up.
All right, that's it.
Oh, that's true. I don't know.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Augusta Forward Town Hall. Those of you viewing at your desks or on your phones, I'm Jason Tudor. I'm the Veteran Experience Officer, at least acting. Brian Wathall, Public Affairs Officer, is setting up the PowerPoint now. We've got about 8 minutes before we start, so we just wanted to make sure that our stream was working. We hope you're out there and you're watching and you have an opportunity to view this. Let's show you around the room if I can. If you're not familiar with Augusta Forward, this is the big change that the medical center is undergoing to completely rethink how information is brought up, to get more people involved, to communicate more with our employees, from supervisor to subordinate, from service chiefs to supervisors and managers and department heads, from pentad to service chief, and as far up as that goes. So this is the first opening day event, and we're proud to be bringing this to you live, again, about 5 minutes before we start. And again, we'll show you around the room. on the air. Again, we just want to let you know that Augusta Forward is, again, the biggest change maybe the hospital's seen in a pretty long time. And it's going to be a big part of what we do going forward. And it's not just about these daily management system meetings, it's about so much more, but mostly about communication and how we can improve communication with one another as employees and with one another. Our AES scores were not great last year. They haven't been great. Kickoff is a lot about that, and the director will address that in his slides. So I'm going to switch it back over to one of the other cameras and let you just tune in on that for a few minutes and before we go live. Okay, the room's starting to fill up pretty good. Hopefully in another 3 or 4 minutes we can get a few more folks in. Again, if you can make the meeting, please come to the meeting. There's plenty of cake and punch and all sorts of great things. We've got a few folks hanging around the hallway too, so we'll get them inside. Looks like we've got our displays up. Some great displays out in the hallway that better explain how we've realigned, how we have changed in general. Our governance has changed, a big part of this as well. What the changes look like and how we can all adapt to the change. The book Who Moved My Cheese is being part of this change adaptation and so on and so forth. So lots to address here. So again, once we're able to get started, we'll get you lined up. My phone is not streaming right. Brian will be.
Oh, Brian, he's in the back. Okay. Oh, there he is. Right there. There's Mr. Makowski right there.
I don't know. This is all.
You run the slides?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And it looks like we're about ready to start.
I'm like, where should we standing room only? What's going on?
There's a look live at the room filling up nicely.
Like technology, what would you do without it?
That's right. That's right.
Project came out of a lot of feedback, a lot of communication, a lot of talk about where we should go from you, the employees of this organization. I've met with over 800 individuals, staff in this organization through our focus groups and on actual service meetings and actually hearing things from individuals, through our all-employee survey, through our strategic meeting, and we've taken all of that information and pulled it all together on some of the things that you said that you want to see happen with your medical center. Stand up because they'll also be talking to you. So we have Dr. Billy McCloskey that we have to reach. So I always talk about what transparency is and how we talk about transparency. So I really want to be transparent about a gift I received on Friday, which is a good. Aware of what you don't know. And this whole process that we're going to is about heightening what we know as leaders in the organization. Because if you look back over the VAs who lost their positions, those leaders who had to testify before Congress, those leaders who had to really lose their careers, was all about it's not leaders anymore, just the leaders, every ownership, every board. That's what an ownership board is about. Everybody in this organization find their way to be able to every organization forward, because we can't get to our true potential without every employee in this organization. So it's about challenging old paradigms, old belief systems, old things that tell us what we can do, and really talking about what we can do. Really talking about that's what this change is all about. It's about giving everyone a voice to make sure that you can communicate directly up to the leadership of this organization we're talking about. That's what the VMS board do. I had the opportunity to go to other VMS, and this is not new to us. We really take that here. What we want to do is take best practices around the nation, bring them to Augusta, and polish them up and make them cool. And that's what the VMS board is about. That's what the structure we're rolling out is about, making sure that you empower every to make good decisions. So let's talk about Augusta forward. Next slide. Everyone, I hope you see this. We work very hard on strategic planning. Quality is important. So that we get our cell report card. That is our report card. The other metrics that come down are our report card. We can agree or not agree with them, but they are your report card. That's how you're evaluated. So we have to get a handle on access. That is, so you can't get a handle in the door to be seen, and you're not providing access. You're not going to provide the experience of our veterans. Number one initiative. The experience of our veterans. How our veterans see our experience. We have to change the care so that our veterans choose us versus choosing our veterans. And that's exactly how I see it. Our federal government and our employees. No organization can be successful or great without engaged people. We need to all engage in this organization to get the results and the outcomes that we want for Charlie Miller. Because if we don't, what is the alternative? Yeah, low scores, patience in the community, all of those things that we don't want. And that's the things we want. We're in a competitive environment, people. Let's compete. Those are our organizational goals. Let's read them. Let's read them. Those are our goals. Because we said, next slide. So let's talk about our mistakes. This is important. So let's talk about where we are today, because you can't plan for the future. Where we are, you don't know where we are today. So we talk about our current. We have some high-performing areas. We have some departments. We have some departments that are really spinal cord, PPA loves our spinal cord. They raised. That was a journey that Charlie knows how to went through. That's something to applaud as we start and our community community loves Charlie. And our community. I'm in a hospital where the community didn't love you that way. People every other week, and they want to say nice things. They be like, they want to say clinical administrator and our long-term care center. Just not where we need to be. It doesn't indicate performance from this room. We are consistently star. We did make it a 3 stars. We make it the 20 stars. We dropped like a rock. We've got to actually turn around and make sure that we're addressing. We've got to actually around that we're addressing and every single person and that's what this is about. Letting you know which parts of ourselves and how you can help organizations forward. How we're going to support you and actually governance structure. We had to go and come in and what we had to go in 3 years very ambitious, very governance structure that was quite complicated. It never got fully implemented, and that has impacted everything. We have not been the overarching governance. We just haven't been we're saying we're not engaged. We've got to challenge and here now what is preventing us from engagement. It's no longer just say we're not engaged. Let's change it because each of us owns that engagement. That engagement can only change by what we do, and my job is to provide the resources, the support, so you can change it. NCOD is going to be with us all week. You know how hard it is to get NCOD to come stay a whole week? Very challenging. And not only are we going to have one, we're going to have 3 NCOD individuals here, plus for what they're coming Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday.
All we have is it keeps dropping.
They're going to come in to join us, to actually work with us as we do that employee engagement, because that's important to this organization to talk about going forward. The network director also took a week out of her schedule to come in to actually spend time with us. So that's how important Augusta Forward is to this organization, to the VISN. That's how important it is to the VA, and that's how important I want it to be for us as we move forward. And HRO, a high reliability organization. That is going to be our new culture. I've heard a lot about culture since I've been here. What is the culture of Charlie Millward? This is the old culture that's holding us back. That really is what should be targeting as our culture. This is where we need to get. So we're going to be on that journey. We are one of the 2 hospitals in Business 7 that have been picked as the lead pilot sites for high reliability. we're going to take that on with Augusta, because if we're able to get that and become a highly reliable hospital, our performance will indicate our reflection, and our satisfaction for our veterans and our employees will all be reflected with that. Those are our challenges we face today, but none of those are challenges we can't overcome. Next slide. Reasons for change. Don't have to echo these hard, but we all need to acknowledge why we need to change. If we don't know the reasons why we need to change, then we're at risk of not changing. And the big deal is the VA has changed. It is not the same VA from 20 years ago, 10 years ago, not even 5 years ago. It is constantly changing. The expectations are different for us. Nationally, the veterans, the Congress, our stakeholders are saying we want something different. We can no longer perform like a VA of 10 years ago. We just can't do that. We have to change, and we have the ability to actually do that. Satisfaction scores. Our veteran satisfaction scores are now in about the 4th quintile. They've gotten better. Our employee survey scores are still in the 5th quintile. We've got to do better, because we can't be a high-performing organization if we have those type of indicator scores. That's just the reality of what we do. The VA does the best job in providing health care. So we have to have the indicators and the scores to show that we at Charlie Norwood are part of that group that's providing that best care. Communication and visibility. We've got to make sure that we all communicate accountable to the employees that work for you. We've been accountable to ourselves, accountable to the veterans to make sure we're delivering that care. That's accountability. That's what we want to get the outcomes for the organization. And the concept of operations. This is kind of like what we brought in direction, you get a new direction. And that changes, and it's hard to get some consistency. We wanted to anchor our program and where we're going. I become president tomorrow, then I will have to leave you and provide that continuity. So we will evaluate that at the end of the year to see where we are, how our metrics, but the pathway will remain the same. That provides that consistency. That allows you to provide the consistency to your employees and to all of us to talk to each other about where we're going. And that's what the whole purpose of that is. So next slide, what's your next slide? Oh, that for ourselves is to be a 4-star. We can actually do it. Right now we're a 2-star, so it's not that big a leap. So we can actually get there with that process on all 3 of our strategic scale measurement areas. Improve our employee scores. Moving to the top 30% in the nation. We evaluate ourselves on that. We talk about our engagement, what we're doing. We control this piece. So let's start talking, becoming engaging, and moving the organization forward. With helping us this week, Dr. Mikowski.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Can people hear me okay? After that rousing applause. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. So my name is Billy McCloskey. I'm a clinical psychologist by training and an OD consultant, or organization development consultant with NCOD. I've had the good fortune of being down in Augusta before, so I see a lot of familiar faces, so thank you for not booing me off the stage already because of that. Really want to hit on 2 things today, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. Wiggins. Actually 3. One is going to be very brief. Just wanted to say kudos to you all for providing that feedback that Dr. Jackson has mentioned. The feedback that you've provided in either in the AES, in any of the listening sessions, in your feedback formally and informally, have really helped to shape this Augusta Forward initiative. And this is an all-employee initiative. This is not just a leadership team initiative, it's everybody. So kudos to you all for providing that feedback. The other 2 things I wanted to talk about, one is change management, and the other is employee engagement. I know Dr. Jackson touched a lot on employee engagement, and that's really where NCOD comes in. But before we talk about that, Augusta Forward is a very robust initiative. There's a number of things that are going to be going on this week and for the next couple of years. And just wanted to give you a little bit of overview on how NCOD, how we view change management. First, change is incredibly hard. There's no memo, even though Dr. Jackson might want to send this memo, there's no memo that you can send that by the end of by COB on Friday, we're going to have HRO set up, we're going to have all of our governance structure set up, everyone's going to be at 100% engagement. You can send that memo, it won't work, but you can send it if you'd like. Change is hard. Any type of change. Think of a personal change you've had in your life, even a change that you might want to do. Think of New Year's resolution time. Anyone broken theirs already? Yep. Because change is hard, even if you want to do it. It's because it's easier to stay in a path that's very well traveled, even if that path is getting in the way of our success. So the first piece of change management is something that Dr. Jackson and the group is doing today and moving through this week, is building awareness around what is actually changing. I saw a couple of slides that Dr. Jackson had put up there, the exact things that are changing, why things are changing, why is it happening now? What are some of the risks of not changing? What are some of the benefits of changing? So not only will you be hearing that from your leadership team today, throughout the week, throughout the next couple of years, we encourage you for any changes that are going on locally in your areas to communicate those things as well. What's changing? Why? Why is it changing now? Unfortunately, human beings, when we don't have the answer to those questions, we tend to fill in the blanks, and we tend to fill in the blanks with things that are not usually all that positive, just because that's who we are. So the more that you can provide answers to those questions that your employees have, or ask those questions of your service chiefs, of your supervisors, the easier that change will be. The second piece of change management is that any sort of resistance to change that you're seeing is 100% normal. You will have resistance to change. You will have it personally. Your staff may have it as well. It's not about pushing down resistance. It's not about eliminating resistance. It's about having shared dialogue around what's getting in the way of us being successful. Again, not something that will change overnight, may not even change in the next week, month or so. This is conversations that happen over time. The last thing for change management, when we have successful changes, one of the things that we really want to do is cultivate some desire. So this week, hopefully, you'll be hearing some things that will appeal to you, like what's in it for you to do these things? What's in it for you to get on board? What's in it for your staff? What's in it for veterans? When we understand what's in it for us, if you've heard me talk before, you've probably heard me use the acronym WIFM, what's in it for me? We all need to know what's in it for us, or else we're not gonna really do anything different, because we have a routine. Doing something new means doing something that's harder than the thing we were doing yesterday. So we have to understand what's in it for us. And that's incumbent on the leadership team. It's incumbent upon me in the sessions that you're gonna hear this week. It's incumbent upon you to talk to your staff about what's in it for them. Ask questions. What are people getting out of all this stuff? Again, this is measured in months and years, not necessarily hours and days. So at the end of today, well, I'm sure we'll have some time for questions as well, but those are the three things about change management that I just wanted to cover really quickly. First is building awareness. Second is that resistance is normal. And the third is that we have to understand what's in it for us to really get us motivated to change, whether that's personal or professional change. The second thing that I want to get to, I guess it would be the third, but I keep saying second, probably third, is employee engagement. So how many people have never heard of NCOD before? Okay, so for those of you who have not heard of NCOD, it's the National Center for Organization Development. Really what our role in the system is providing any support for organizational change, organization development, and employee engagement throughout VA. We're a pretty small program office, about 55, 60 folks based in Cincinnati to serve 300 and many thousand VA employees. So we're fairly small. So our big initiative is the All-Employee Survey. So that's probably where you have heard of us before. The All-Employee Survey is one of the only surveys that we're aware of that hits all employees. FEVS used to take a kind of a cross-section of folks. I think Augusta, I don't remember the exact response rate this year, but it was pretty good. So kudos to you for that. Been working with Augusta for a number of years. I know that you champion the all-employee surveys, and thank you for your feedback there. But employee engagement, like Dr. Jackson had mentioned, is something that's going to be crucial, not just for Augusta Forward, but employee engagement results in good veteran care. Has anyone seen the all-employee survey dashboard before? Coming from NCOD, okay. The landing page this year is a video with 3 veterans sharing their perspectives on employee engagement. Sometimes people think employee engagement is about making employees feel good. That's part of it. We want to make the Charlie Norwood VA a place where employees want to come to work. But really, the ultimate outcome of employee engagement is veterans want to receive their care here. Engaged employees provide better care for veterans, whether that means fewer adverse events, fewer medication errors, more timely access, better bedside manner. The list of outcomes goes on and on. Employee engagement is really about making this a place where you all want to come to work and veterans want to come receive their care. There are two things that I just want to cover really quickly on how to promote employee engagement. The first one is doing what you're doing right now, is sitting in this room, is having your voice heard in any sort of improvement efforts. You've already provided your feedback to Dr. Jackson and the leadership team. Kudos to you for that. I'd encourage you from an NCOD perspective to continue to provide constructive feedback. Let people know when your needs are not being met. Provide solutions that you think might work in your work group. And the second thing is work group level action plan. So all of you are in some sort of work group at Charlie Norwood. All of you have priorities that are going to be local to your work group. Even if everyone in this room wants communication to get better, what communication looks like in one work group is going to look completely different than what it's going to look like in another work group, as it should. So we very strongly advocate for work group level action planning using some of the tools on the All Employee Survey. So later this week, tomorrow, I believe there's 2 sessions designed for service chiefs. And on Wednesday, there's 3 or 4 sessions designed for supervisors and managers to walk through the AES dashboard, help understand the tools, and leave with things that you can take back to your work group. So if you haven't signed up for any of those, please, I'd encourage you to do so. If you have questions about what those look like, I'm around all week and be happy to answer those questions either in this town hall or afterwards. But really the key for employee engagement is staying involved, staying a part of your work group and owning this process. At NCOD, our role is to support you in doing that, whether that's at the leadership level, the senior leadership level, or if that's at the work group level. And we are here all week to be answering any questions that you have, providing information both to you all, observing the leadership team, and we're going to be providing them some feedback as well toward the end of the week. It's our commitment at NCOD to be engaged with Charlie Norwood for the long haul. Until Dr. Jackson kicks us out, we're not planning on, well, we have to go home Thursday, but virtually we'll still be engaged with you until your goals are met and you say we've got it from here. So that's our commitment to you all, and I wanted to thank you all again for your time this afternoon. I'll be available for questions afterwards, but I did want to, I'm mindful of the time, I wanted to turn it over to Ms. Wiggins and let her conclude for today.
Good, thank you. Thank you. This is my first time meeting Mr. McCoskey.
Yep.
And I've met a lot of people from NCOD. I've been around for a minute or two in the system. So thank you for having me. All you guys standing in the back, come on down and get a seat. Unless you were ordered to stand on the wall, come on, sit down. So I'm so glad to be back. The last time I had a chance to address a large group of Augusta employees, I think it was it the women's program or something last spring? And we had a good old time. We talked a lot, remember? And then we ate a lot too. And that's my favorite part of the meeting. So I'm glad to be here. Dr. Jackson had mentioned this initiative to me some months ago, and actually it had fell off my radar. So when he reminded me, I hurried up and cleared my schedule so I could be here as you launch this new initiative, because I think it's very important to what you guys are trying to achieve. For me, it means that you're getting a set of tools, a way to get what is expected of you done. Sometimes people always tell you, you need to get up to a 4-star. And I said, well, how the heck am I gonna do that? I'm struggling to maintain this 2-star. And I think these tools, that as I have come to know them, and it's only been about this much information shared with me, is a structured way where your input can be incorporated into the planning on how to get things where you want them to be ultimately. And that really helps, because we all hired in here to do something else, like take care of the environmental services, take care of the patients in terms of your direct health care workers, public affairs to keep us, looking good in the media. We all had real jobs, went to school and trained for things, and so we may not exactly know how to achieve what is being asked of us today. I need you all to go from a 2 to a 4. Is there a magic formula? Is there a book that I had in college that tells me how to do that? And it seems like it's magic. It seems sometimes like it's smoke and mirrors, and those kind of things. I've heard all of that from all 8 of our hospitals in our VISN. And so I understand that. So that the leadership engages you, identifies what your priorities are, and then reaches further to other hospitals who've accomplished some of what you're trying to accomplish to find out how they did it. Incorporate that with what you guys told them you want to see is a good way to go about this. So I applaud you guys for, you know, being so engaged, the leadership team, and you all who participated in your strategic planning to get us here. Now, I'm a little bit more hands-on, and you guys always get these talking head people like me, and so I'm going to make you do a little bit of work. And because I need to hear about this engagement. And I had all these, let me tell you, they have public affairs people when you become VISN directors and medical center directors that tell you what to do. Here it is. So I'm not going to do it. But thank you for putting it together. But you know, what actually happened, and it happens to me a lot, and those of you who were here with me for the women's program, is that I really want to do something that I think is a little bit more meaningful, and I want to carry away from my opportunity to be with you what you're thinking, and it helps give me direction on what I need to do. And so that's why I changed it up a little bit, okay? And so I just need you guys to really quickly, how much time, when is this supposed to be over?
Can you tell us the lead?
What was it scheduled for? Was it scheduled for 3:30? I got 20 minutes. Okay, so we're gonna run really quickly, and we're gonna bypass this whole front row, but we're gonna start here, and we're gonna count from 1 to 4, all the way down in the next row, 1 through 4. Come on, real quick. 1,
2,
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You act like you don't want to play. Come on.
2,
3, 4, 5.
I am in Augusta. 2,
3, 1.
no, honey. 4.
3, 3.
Y'all help the people who went to school where I did, because they struggled. I had a 3. Come on. Where you guys at? 4. You're a 4 here, and she's a 1. Okay. You're a 2, 3, and then you're a 4. Okay, Dr. Jackson, you missed some education here. 1, 2,
3, 4,
1.
2,
3, 4. 1, 2, 3,
4.
1.
1.
2, 3, 1.
Okay, you know what? Where did they end at? Oh, Lord, I give up. Okay, let me tell you.
3, 4. The bottom is.
I'm not kidding. Everybody with a 1 go up in this corner and stand up. They slow. 2. She said the 1s are slow. 2s. 3s back here and 4s. If you didn't get a number, go to a group real quick. Okay.
You're 5.
2.
All right. Hey, all right, you guys are going to be surprised here in a minute. Everybody got a homework assignment. Let's get busy. So who's the leader of this group over here? You said this is the one? You do a lot of talking all the way over here. Is that common? What's your name? Bobby. Good to meet you, Bobby. Listen, you must be the leader of number 1. You can be? Anybody opposed to Bobby being the leader of number 1? All right, come on up. Let's make it look even. Okay, everybody pick a leader real quick. Leader, raise your hand.
Holly's the leader.
Okay, you guys want to have a 5-minute conversation. Listen up for me. Group 1, I want you to discuss amongst yourselves this question. Okay, Augusta Forward means blank to me. And then this nice lady who talks about number 1s and how they count is going to represent you and say that. Go in this little circle. You guys got it? Everybody understand that? Do I need to repeat it? Because I can. Augusta Forward means, okay, number 2.
Over here.
Oh, good. I don't know how y'all got the seats. Okay, who's the leader over here? Oh, I should have known. You guys know when we were here for the women's program, we had a competition and it was great, and she won the big prize. Can you imagine? You are always a lucky person, so you got the big prize again.
Yes, ma'am, I'm the lucky one.
Okay.
And she donated it back to the club.
Okay. So, in order for us to be successful with this rollout, we need blank. Okay, you got that?
Yes.
Number twos? You got it? Everybody has to participate. If she tells me y'all just sat over here like a lump and didn't help her, then I'm just gonna be saying shame on you. Because I got a whole bunch of more questions. Which one are you of three? Three, okay. All right, number three. Here we go. Everybody listen up. When I leave this event, where's the leader? Oh, you got it? Voluntold?
Yes.
When I leave this event, I will tell my employees and/or my colleagues about this initiative, and I will tell them what? Okay, when I leave this event, I will tell my employees and/or colleagues, because I don't know if you have employees or not, what about this event and this initiative today? They drug us up here in the auditorium and they blah, 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 blah. Okay. Number four. Y'all better be ready. Who's the leader of number four? Oh.
I got voluntold.
Voluntold? Okay. Now y'all gonna huddle and talk. Y'all talked about everyday huddles. This is a huddle. Okay? Someone gave all the leadership team that little book he held up there, The Emperor Has No Clothes, because why would someone give the leadership team that book at this time, point in time, during this rollout, during this initiative? Make sense? You guys got it? Need me to repeat it? Somebody gave the leadership team that book for a reason. You think they gave it to us for a reason? Okay. All right, now the clock starts. Everybody gets busy. He said we got to be done at 3:30. It's 3:15. Right? So you guys got about 10 minutes. If we roll over a little bit, we'll be okay. And I'm going to sound the alarm. Get busy. I want to hear some feedback.
I'm not saying that. I can see that. Yeah.
Anybody else? Just to know what it's about, what do you mean? Like, what's the whole goal of Augusta Forward? What is the intention? The director's intention?
What sale means?
Everybody talking?
When you talk about what's in it for me, is that something to let the employees know what is in,
An
what is this all about?
opportunity to let the employees know what's in it for them.
Yeah.
What it-
I mean, I agree with everything on that. Main was,
I just want to make sure I get everyone represented. You want me to read it back?
Data extractions.
Is that the same as data feedback?
No. How you gonna get your data to feed easily without having to find somebody in Timbuktu?
I'm writing that down. I totally agree. It doesn't help me to get it a month later after everything else broke. You don't get anything else? You know what I call that? An alignment of thought, word, deed, and action. right? I have to I have to tell you what's important, then I have to show you that it's important by all my other decisions aligning with that, right? Then I have to keep telling you, then I have to follow up with you and make sure that you and I agree it's important, right? It's like a constant. If I only tell you it's important and 1 year later I say, ooh, you didn't do so good, right? That's too much time in between and not enough alignment. And if I made all the decisions so that you couldn't meet the goal, that wasn't very bright either.
And that aligns with square by keeping the score.
So, I don't know about you. Is there value in me listing off 25
Can you go
words?
point that camera maybe
Or
back
did it,
there?
in essence,
Or at the
maybe
groups
I'm
or something?
projecting my thoughts onto you. If I
This
am,
one.
stop me. But isn't all we're saying that the alignment needs to happen, that what we think is important, that we are reminded it's important, the decisions made from the top down align with those decisions, right? Can I tell that story? Are you okay with that? Okay. What's that? All the words fall into that. I think you're right. I'll brief it, and you guys feel free. If I fail to represent something that was important to you, speak up. That will not offend me, okay?
You're ready? Go ahead. Group number one's ready. Any other group ready?
We're ready.
You ready? Group number two's ready. Group number three?
Did you get that last one?
Feedback. I got
Four is ready. You're three, you're four. They got that. Three, you're ready? All right, everybody get to their seat.
Oh, great.
If we're one of your people, do you want us to stand here?
Yeah, I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna have you stand up and
I got a microphone for Holly. Holly, I got a mic right here for you. You're group two, right? So
Yeah.
just flip it on when you're ready to go. One's already got a microphone.
All right, so everybody's going to their seats and not together, so I don't know who's what.
There's two microphones out there. So,
Yeah,
okay.
so we may have to take the
Yeah,
microphone.
yeah, they can figure it out.
Okay, everybody ready? So this is how we're gonna do it. Group number one, leaders, come on up, tell them what your assignment was. Tell me a little bit about the group dynamics with everybody participating, and then what was the answer that you all agreed to share. If she says something y'all didn't agree to, you can just take over. So just come on up here and let her have it. Great.
Good afternoon. Dynamics of our group was very good. We had quite a bit of participation, and some things were said, and they wanted to make sure that everyone understood what was meant by what was said. So moving forward, number one, we had what moving forward in Augusta means to us. And some of the things we had progress. And one of the things for us to go move for the progress, we want to make sure that we're maintaining and sticking to the mission of the organization. Better work environments. And the better work environments, that means them taking care of the staff and the supervisors. You know, that's everyone, we're all in this together. You know, I need you, you need me attitude. And and it means
Somebody help her?
engagement, better engagement, taking better care of the veterans, a better workplace, 4-star facility, being one accord with the director. We want to build a 4-star facility. Being a provider of choice. And not only being a provider of choice, that means when we're out in the community or we're speaking to someone, they say, and they ask, so what do you work for? We say, we work for the VA. We don't want the response, oh, you work for the VA. We want, oh my God, you work for the VA! How awesome! You know, and that's the response that we want. And they say, thank God you work for the VA, was how it's put out. And
from Group 1 want to add? Did she get it all for you?
Not only what we want to ask ourselves, not what it's in for, not what's in it for me, but what we can give, and how can we give to better serve the veterans in our community and within the VA. I didn't say it quite like that, but that's
very good. Give them a big hand. All right, we number 1. She did all that complaining about it. Y'all should have heard her complaining. That's how she ended up being the group leader.
You are.
All right, group number 2. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, give it to those smart people over there.
Holly, could you come stand in the same spot, please? Thank you.
Group 2, shout it out a little bit. Let's hear it. Woo! All right, question is, in order to be successful with Augusta Forward, we need blank. That was our question. And what to fill in the blank? I could read off 23 individual words that everybody threw out, like persistence, leadership, data, more staff. But we knew that wasn't the right answer. So we threw all of the words together and we really started brainstorming. What we really need is all of these wonderful things you learned in all the management classes, but aligned. That we need the decisions from the top to the bottom regarding those things: staffing, time, management, leadership, policies. All of that has to be aligned to meet the objectives. That if you have a group that isn't aligned, we're not going to meet the goal. So I'm sorry to boil it down to something so simplistic. Did I miss it, Team 2?
No, Team 2 good, Team 2. All right, very, give them a hand, all right. Yay, Team 2. All right, Team 3. Yay. Yay.
That applause is not for me. So we were asked to explain what we would tell our employees after we left this meeting about Augusta Forward. And our group basically said that Augusta Forward is about defining goals such as moving from Tier 2 to Tier 4 in the SAIL measures. What it means to our director, such as the importance of how this involves participation and employee engagement. Augusta Forward also means benefits to our staff by how the efforts reflect employee feedback and increased transparency. And finally, we would tell our colleagues that Augusta Forward is about meeting and understanding the components of SAIL and how our stakeholders as employees make the big difference.
All right, give them a hand. Thank you. Love it. And last but certainly not least. This group looked at me like I was crazy when I told them theirs, but let's see.
Our question was, why did someone give the leadership The Emperor Has No Clothes as a book?
Especially at this point in time.
At this point in time. And then some smart aleck in my group said because they want everybody to dress like me.
Woo!
The book has a lot of moral tales that is very pertinent to what we're about to do now, such as hubris, freedom to speak to power, ability to communicate, ability for employees to feel like they can tell the truth, because nobody wants to give bad news, but sometimes you got to hear the bad news. If you don't know what the problem is, you can't fix it. You got to recognize that you have a problem, address that problem, and come up with solutions to fix the problem. So we decided overall, the reason the leadership got the book, The Emperor Has No Clothes, because in the story, it was Dolores, the child, that finally said, but he's naked. That means that the lowest level of the organization has to have the ability to feel like they can tell the truth and tell power that this is how it is.
All right, give my hand. Thank you. Thank you guys for participating. Now, so whenever I hear a bunch of people up talking to me and sharing information and giving information, something may come in my head that I want to say. So is there anybody else in the room right now that wants to add something to what was shared? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that this is an important change initiative, but it's not going to go anywhere if we don't tell people how to get to the things and the items and the schedules and the things that are going on. And unfortunately, I knew nothing about it until my leader told me about it today, so I'm assuming everybody else might be in the same mode. But people need to know, if you want your, not just supervisors to come to these training classes, if you want the frontline staff who need to know about what these changes and initiatives are so they can buy into it, they need to know how to get to the schedule, how to get here, get encouraged to come, get relief to come, and those kind of things so they can learn about it too. It's not just a management change. If you don't get it down to the employee who can tell you, then you're going to be in trouble. And I did say that in my group, only they didn't bring it forward.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? We don't want to miss any voice. Give her a hand. Thank you. I saw a hand. Yes.
I think this initiative is great, but one of the things that we really got to take into consideration are, one, provider retention in our facility, and the stress on employees that's part of the job of working at the VA. We're having a hard time recruiting because we have a lot of people in the community that say, oh my God, the VA, I hear so many bad things, the work is too hard, and we're having a lot of providers leaving. For every one that leaves, for every 3 that leave, we can hire 1 to 3 more leave. So it's been tough. So we really need to take a look at that as part of this total initiative. And not only providers, but at the employees at every single level.
So, you know, if I try to do the Reader's Digest of what I heard you say, and you tell me if I'm not correct, is that as we make this change, we need the bodies, we need people who are engaged to stay here and want to stay here because it's hard work. Did I say that? Okay, so it sounds like he wants us to make sure we are putting enough time and attention into the employees who have to accomplish what we get set out to do. And I think we have to do that. I just got a few closing remarks, so Dr. Jackson won't tell me I always talk too much. Actually, you know, it's 3:30 right on the nose, so I'm doing better than I thought I was. At the women's thing, Vita told me to shut up because I got so excited. You know, it was a Women's Day event, and it was just, it was a good crowd, and we had a good time. But I just wanted to say a couple things. I've heard this, you know, for all my life. I'm sure you guys have too, and I was real impressed. It's so funny. This is the second major time in this week that I've had a chance to discuss this, or what we think we mean by this, or what this book tells us, and I like everything I've heard so far. And I wanted to share with you what I took away from it. And I think it is a challenge to the leadership team here and to each of you to work on our environment so that anyone and everyone is very comfortable speaking up about what they see, what they don't understand, or what they would like to see different. And I think if we all work on that, you'll achieve it. And we haven't been so good at that. And that's why we have scores sometimes that go down, because engagement means usually that I don't feel like I'm a part of it. No one's listening to me and all those other kind of things. And it's kind of that story, a child said it because a child had not been in that palace where everybody else said, if I disagree with the king, something bad's gonna happen to me. The child was still innocent outside, remember? The child was outside during the parade when he got his little unclothed self up on the horse or whatever and went out there, and the child was still very innocent, not exposed to those threats and those structures that said, if you don't agree with what the clothes look like or you don't like them, something bad's gonna happen to you. You know, they hadn't been so overburdened with all that worry and fear. And I've always thought it's the leadership responsibility to make sure you set the tone that it's okay, that every piece of feedback, right, wrong, or even if it's going in the wrong direction initially, is able to be heard. Whether you can do something about it right away or not, that's totally different. But we have to make that environment so that it is almost safe for, like that child did. That child didn't know nothing else. Like, I don't know what y'all looking at, that man ain't got a problem. It's because that child didn't have that fear. That child was still at a point operating in an environment that was safe. And if you can do that, all the rest of it in terms of alignment will fall in place. All these things we're being asked to do better on all employee survey, institute high reliability, do better on sale. I don't care what you call it. If you look at the basic tenets of it, if the environment isn't safe, the number one principle behind high reliability is no harm. If you read that literature, and that means mental harm, social, physical, everything. Everybody's got to feel comfortable that when I say something, my career won't be harmed, my feelings won't be hurt, my veterans won't be harmed. So, you know, those kind of things are really, really important. So when he brought that up and Dr. Jackson said, what you don't know can hurt you. And if you don't tell them something, they can't fix it. So make sure they do that. My hope on these boards, and one of the things you'll see at Lexington and those other hospitals that have moved along, Palo Alto, did you go to there too? Is that mostly everybody in the organization feels comfortable saying whatever, whenever. Some of them have the board structure so that any employee can walk up and put information on there. Central Alabama has a similar concept that they instituted in their long-term care. And every time I go, guess who's standing around the board? The nursing assistants in Central Alabama. More than the leaders are standing around the board, and they're making decisions about what they see on those boards and how we're going to spend our time for that day or that shift. How powerful is that? They're the largest in number, and they're the closest to the patients, and they're allowed to look at those boards and decide as a group of hands-on workers closest to our patients what the emphasis is going to be for that shift. My wish for you guys is to get there. Get there that you are comfortable in receiving and acting on the information of those in the closest position to the veteran. And when everything gets cloudy and crazy and it doesn't make sense, and they put an initiative out there, just take a moment and force people to explain to you what this decision or this initiative will do for a veteran and what will it do for us as employees responsible to take care of veterans. Veterans first in my mind, because without a veteran we wouldn't be here, right? So if we make decisions that we are real comfortable with the impact on veterans, 9 times out of 10, we're gonna be moving in that right direction. Then we have to quickly say, for the employees who are gonna be responsible to do that for veterans, what do they need, the other group that we had talking, what do they need to be successful? And then the other group was about, what did I hear in here? Because you guys are the ones who showed up, right? So the buzz is going to start. I've always said in my whole nursing career, I started my career as a nursing assistant, I don't know if you guys know that, and crawled my way all the way through from being a nursing assistant. And I always tell people, all those years taught me, is that the street committee is the most powerful committee in the organization. And so you guys are gonna start the ball in the street committee after this kickoff, right? That's why I wanted to hear what you're gonna be sharing with your employees and your colleagues. And I applaud whoever gave this book out, because if you all aren't thinking about it, you should. Look at it again, think about the story. Cracks me up, second time this week that has been presented to me around similar themes and ideas of major change. So really take that to heart. One last pet peeve of mine, and I'm gonna get on these NCOD people about this as well. I get to meet with his boss every month at the NLC, but the all-employee survey is a process that they're gonna put out here, and it's very structured to help us get some ideas and tools that we may not have thought about, and I really love that. And I challenged him to make sure it's real easy for our frontline supervisors to implement what they're asking, and after the implementation, to identify incremental opportunities to celebrate, measures of success. Because that survey only comes around every now and again, and you could be working your tail off for 11 months and not taking time to celebrate and accept all the accomplishments that you do every day, every week from then on. So they're gonna do that. But the group that talked about alignment, we got 25 different initiatives that I can think of right off the top of my head as network director. Which one do you put all your time into? If someone doesn't take time through this initiative or any other and align these things so that when I take 2 steps in this direction, it knocks off 10 of these mandates, then I'm gonna be an overwhelmed, overworked employee, and the turnover this man talked about is gonna get worse, right? So that alignment was beautiful. Each group gave us something really important to think about. And so leadership team, I expect you guys to do that work for them. So when I do these 5 things, it knocks off all these mandates you just gave me. Because they can't do 25 things. Because they're really going to get overwhelmed. So you guys spend some time with that. The last question I have, and anybody can jump up and ask, is what is the Mission Act? Do you all know Mission Act is an acronym? How many people knew that it was an acronym? I got 3 hands. Because people think the Mission Act is that we are going to be taking actions to accomplish our mission. It's not. It's an acronym. Okay? And here are the words. Think about it. And most of what you have planned to do will get us where they are. The VA has set up mega resources, a whole office and a highly functioning group of executives to accomplish the tenets of the Mission Act. There's a Reader's Digest version that's about 25 pages, but check it out. The M in mission means maintaining. I, internal. Systems, the first S. The second S, strengthening. Integrated outside networks. So Dr. Jackson had a slide that said, why should we change? The Mission Act is an acronym that says integrated outside networks. The whole world has been discussing whether it's going to be deliberate or by default that the VA moves quicker into privatization. So read it. No, it is not a word, it is an acronym. Read what it says, integrated outside networks. So while we are here, leaders and frontline workers, we have an opportunity to make the reliance on the integrated outside networks not so relied upon by us taking control and engaging in these kind of changes where people are asking us our feedback on how to get this thing right. Make sense? Google it up, get the 25-page version, it's an easy read. It is not a word, it is an acronym. And you need to really understand that as you guys make decisions, you share and give people the opportunity to share with you about what it takes for our VA that we want to see succeed to get where it needs to be. Make sense? And again, I'm going to be here all week. I expect to be talking to frontline people and not so much you guys, even though you guys are fun too. But feel free, talk to me, Jackson, and any other leader, because I'll be walking the halls like I've been doing for all of my 60-some years, trying to get a feel for where I can help. So it's easier if you just tell me, like the run group said, I need this, but we got to get there together. But really get smart about the business, know what the political landscape is like, and feel free to tell the emperor, man, you ain't got on the thing, okay? And thank you for having me.
I think that wraps it up. We do have some boards outside. We also have some cookies and punch. Please go out there and let's engage in conversation about where we're going as an organization. If you have any question about the boards, what we're doing, we'll be outside and have the conversation. Thank you all for coming and enjoy the rest of the day.